Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about inspiring a shared vision. This is the second installment in our Kouzes and Posner's journey through the Leadership Challenge. Remember, there are 5 practices, and within each practice is 2 commitments. So today we're going to look at inspire a shared vision. This is one of my favorite because it asks us to look at not only where we are, but where we're going and why we're doing it. And I think that's what Inspire a Shared Vision does. So let's look at the couple of commitments here. One of them is envision the future. So what I did is I wanted to look to see what it would, what the definition was. And the definition, according to Merriam-Webster, is to influence, move, guide, to exert an animating or enlivening or exalting influence, to spur on, to impel or motivate, to breathe or blow into something, to infuse something such as breathing life into something. And I think if you look at it, this is really what we're talking about here. This is an opportunity for us to look at our teams, even to look at ourselves, and are we inspiring a shared vision? The question I guess I have for you today is, do you know where you're going? And more importantly, why are you doing it? So as we start businesses, and I've started quite a few, I have to look at what I want to do and then why I'm doing it. What is the purpose behind it? Because if I don't get buy-in into what I'm doing, it's going to be really hard to sell it to others. So as we begin to look at this, I want you to envision your future, if you will. When I work with my coaching and consulting clients, I take a look at their business plan or their business strategy, or their life plan or life strategy. And we take a look at really what is going on and what they want to do. Then we look at why they're doing it. Because if you don't have passion or compassion for what you're doing, you aren't going to continue to move forward. You have to breathe life into something. So organizations who have mission, vision, and values, the question is do they practice them every day? Have they thought through those? Do they meet the end result of why the business is in business, to be exact? Once we figure that all out, then we figure out how we're going to get there. But if those first 2 components, the what and the why, aren't in place, it's going to be too difficult to do that. So think of it this way. The dream or the vision is the force that invents the future. So where is your future? Of this team, of your organization, where is your future? And are you remaining competitive? We talked about that last week in Challenge the Process. Leadership is really a dialogue. It's not a monologue. So when you're helping others to envision the future, you have to get their buy-in. They have to be right on board with you, expressing their enthusiasm and excitement for doing just that. So Kouzes and Posner, one of the quotes here is, "I'm driven by concerns for the legacy I'm leaving my children." A lot of people do that. Think about your life, if you will. Think about the jobs you've had, the career you've had. Some people change jobs and careers pretty regularly. I know over the last year, that's kind of been me. Because I'm trying to leave a legacy. I'm trying to make a difference, leave a footprint wherever I've been that's going to help others and help the organization to move in a new direction and to achieve outstanding results. It isn't about remaining the status quo. As we learned last week, status quo has got to go, because if we do what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always gotten. And that isn't always the perfect reason for doing what we're doing. So I want you to think about what we're doing. So I want to look through these just a little bit, and when each practice has some within that commitment has some steps that we need to take. And remember, we are using the Leadership Challenge by Kouzes and Posner. This is the old version. It's my version because I tend to like my version only because I've used it to death and I have all my pages marked. It's well worn, kind of those kind of things. So let's envision the future by imagining an exciting and ennobling possibilities. Remember, people wake up in the morning wanting to contribute something of value. People want to be appreciated. So we want to make sure that we're not commanding their respect, but that we're earning their respect in the process. And we do that by creating an exciting environment. If you are not passionate about what you're trying to do inside your organization, nobody's going to get on board with you. They want to know that they're providing their time, their energy for something that is going to be ennobling, that it's going to be of value and going to be important. So As we begin to look at our team, think about it this way. One of the things that I always try to do in my coaching sessions with businesses is that we look at a visionary leader, somebody who's been extremely successful at inspiring people to their following. Always the first one that comes to mind is Martin Luther King. And so if we think about what he did and why he did it, he was passionate about what he did. He believed in what he did. He inspired a nation to get on board with him and thus created great change. He was positive in what he was doing, even at the cost of his own life. Now, do I expect you to give up your life? No. But I do expect you to be passionate about what you're doing and have buy-in. Are we always going to buy into what organizations want to do or how they want to do it? No. But as we talked about last week in challenging the process, it's about helping them to understand the best way to do things or a different way of doing things. So you need to be passionate when you go in and try to make change. And you have to show them not only what you want to do, but why you want to do it. Then we're going to outline the hows as we begin to attack in our own minds and in our own cultures, making that change. And we're going to look at that. But think about your past. I think about my past all the time. Think about where you've made the change, where you've made a difference. And some of the life coaching that I do, we talk about where they've been and where they're going and how we're going to get there. But first we have to really recognize in the past the things that we love to do and the things that we didn't like to do. If you're in your organization, you've probably got a history of things that have been tried that didn't work. I always like to go back. Just because they didn't work the first time, maybe we didn't have enough great minds working on it together. And as we talk about this, it takes a team effort. You have to get your team to buy in. If they don't buy into it, they're not going to help you move it forward. They have to see how it's going to impact their ennobling future. Not just because, if you do this, you get to keep your job, because people don't really care about that. We all know that there are many jobs out there, and with the low unemployment rate now, it's starting to come back. Are we underemployed? Yes. I believe that a lot of us are underemployed now due to this economy. But I do believe that even though we may be underemployed, that we still have great ideas and that we still want to move organizations to greatness, as well as our teams. So think about our past. Think about what didn't work, but then look at, with critical eyes, how we can make it work, or how we can maybe take it, change it, maybe move some things around and make it work. We also have to determine the something that you want to do. I don't just sit on my laurels and go, well, it'll get better. I hope it will get better. I look at things and say, what's working, what's not working, what can we change? And if we change it, is it going to impact the organization positively or my team positively? I don't go in and make change for change's sake, because I don't think that's the answer either. So I go in with a clear plan of the change I want to make and why I want to make it. And I also add a little component that says, what's in it for you? And why would I, it's not only the, when we talk about the why, is that why am I doing this and how is it going to benefit? And then we're going to talk about how we're going to make it change. You also want to think about the vision statement. Look at the vision statement, and is it really the outcome that this organization is focused on? I've been in a couple of organizations where I've looked at their mission, vision, values, and they're not in alignment. When I talk about mission, vision, values, they are the foundation with the direction that the organization wants to go and sort of their answer to how they're going to get there and what it looks like in the end. A vision statement should say, when we're all done with this, this is what our organization is going to look like. This is who we are. This is what we stand for. And this is the contribution that we make to the organization. If we don't have a clear understanding of the contribution that we make and why we're doing what we're doing, all the hows in the world aren't going to get there. And we may be not focusing our energy in the right direction. So we have to look at what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I've been saying that a lot since we started this, but that I want to drill those points home, because I can't get to the how until we know why and what. Also, I want you to test your assumptions. Just because you think it is this way, it may not necessarily be true. Just like all communication, sometimes we hear something and we put our own spin on it and we think this is what the meaning is, but that isn't necessarily always true. So I want to test my assumptions when I'm looking at something or looking at something I want to change. And remember what assume does, right? Yeah. So we want to make sure that as we assume these things, that it's really going to be. Now, does that mean that you can't get into something and if it isn't working, you just dump it and go? No, this is where we take time to reevaluate, to look at the different things and why we're doing those. If we look at those things and why we're doing those things, then hopefully throughout the course of the process, as we test our assumptions, that we're going to be able to realign those so that we're still meeting the mission, vision, and values, but that we know there's going to be a chance of success at the end of the tunnel, and that we're all in alignment. It is about creating alignment so that we're all moving in the right direction. It's kind of like when Jim Collins says, get the right people on the bus seated in the right seat so we all can go the right direction. That's what we're doing here, is that we want to make sure that the change that we're putting or inspiring others to follow us. Think about it this way. Southwest Airlines, when they created their culture and their environment, they were all on board. Everything they did met into those mission, vision, and values. They're still doing it to this day. When they hire somebody, their anticipation is that we want to hire people with fun, who understand fun. If you've ever been on a flight, they do really interesting things to get our attention. They sing songs, they make it fun. Well, even when they hire their people, they actually put them through, this was a few years ago, I don't know if they're still doing it, but one of the things that attracted me to teach their culture to other organizations was the fact that when they interviewed people, they didn't want you to just come in with your resume, sit down and do a typical interview. Somebody actually came in with a picnic basket. The menu was actually their resume, and they created a very unique setting. They were hired on the spot. And that's what we're trying to do, is we want to make sure that everything we do is in alignment with the outcome that we want to get, and that we're not doing something just to do something. We want to do something with purpose, and that is going to create a different environment or a different culture and get people on board to want to do what we're asking them to do. And I want you to visualize. Has anybody ever had you do a visualization board? I do visual boards all the time because I want to see my future, inspire a shared vision. And we're going to enlist others' help to do that. So we want them to envision their future as something that is important and valuable to them. So often in organizations, I will actually ask them to do a vision board, where they want their team to go, basically why they're going there, and what it looks like when they arrive. If they were able to achieve everything they wanted to achieve, how would they know that they got there? Because if we keep chasing something and we never get any closer, we're going to stop chasing it. People are going to give up. People are going to say, why am I bothering to do this? Because nothing is changing, nothing's happening. So I want to make sure that we get them going in the right direction by seeing what that future looks like. So everything we do takes us one step closer. Now, the second component of this, it was, one of the things you have to do is you have to enlist others. You have to get their buy-in. You have to get them to get on board with you. And we also have to get them into that common ground by appealing to their shared aspirations. I believe that people want to be excellent every day. And I know we talked about this last week. I don't think people come to work just so they can be average. I think we all want to contribute something of value so that our footprint leaves a legacy. When I'm all dead and gone and, they write something on my tombstone, I don't want it to say she was a great housekeeper. I want it to say something to the effect of she made a difference in every life that she touched, or made a difference in others' lives. And so that sort of has been my mantra for all of my career, is that my mission statement is to make a difference in one person's life, because then mine will be worth living. While my vision statement is different depending on the organization I'm working for, I'm very clear on who I am and what I want to contribute and what that looks like in order for me to do that. So I've enlisted others to help me get there, because I know I can't get there by myself. And how do I do that? Is that if I can get them to be where they want to be, even if they don't stay with me or stay in my organization, if they're contributing somewhere else and they take what I've taught them on to the next organization, it's creating their value in themselves. And when they're valuable to themselves, they're valuable to organizations or teams. And that's what we want to do. We want to enlist others to do that. You need to get to know your people. Remember, one of the pieces in my leadership definition was not only to inspire an individual or a group of people, but it's by understanding and developing the strengths and talents of the team members around you. If I don't know who they are and what they bring to the table, I'm not going to be able to create that well-rounded team that we've talked about. So get to know your people, spend some time with them, understand what makes them tick. And sometimes it's not what you see on the surface. I think you have to dig a little deeper. You have to spend some time with them. What do they really want in life? Why did they join your company? Was it simply to collect a paycheck? Well, then you have to inspire them to want to be part of the organization, because a paycheck is a paycheck is a paycheck. You can get a paycheck anywhere. But what we want them to do is to create a career, to create a lifestyle within that organization that is going to take them farther than that paycheck ever could. And that's what we want to do with them. You have to find that common ground. Remember, the last piece of that definition is to understand your people, right? And then move them to achieve a common goal, objective, outcome, so that we're all moving in the same direction. We can't just put people on our bus because we like them. We need to put them on their bus because they're a contributing factor to the success that we want to have as a team or as an organization. Even if you build just an organization because you're small and you have like more of a mom and pop kind of feel, you still want to surround yourself with people that are going to contribute something different to the organization. One of the things that I loved is I was talking to my team yesterday, and one of the guys said, "That's why we hired you, is because you like to do these things. I like to negotiate. I like to find new products and services. I like to create those relationships so that it makes life easier for me to do my job. But I'm contributing something of value, something that nobody else in that organization wants to do or likes to do. But that's where my strength lies. But if they hadn't gotten to know me, they wouldn't be giving me the things that are my strengths and talents. Plus, it's taking stuff off their plate that isn't their strength and talent, and they're glad to give it up because they don't want to do it. So think about your team. Think about what they're doing. One of the individuals I worked with a long time ago really had a lot of strength in a great area. But basically, they wanted that individual not to work for that organization anymore. They didn't understand this person. And yet this person, he was so good at what he did. But when I gave him the opportunity to do what he did best, he began to shine and he became one of the top performing individuals in the organization, even nationally within that organization. And that's what we want to do, is we want to get to know them. But it took me a while to understand where their strengths and talents lie, because we make people be a jack of all trades and a master of none. I want to deal with what you're a master of, put you in positions where you get a chance to do that every single day. And when you do, you're going to love to come to work, and you're going to be very successful at the job that you're doing. You need to breathe life into that vision. If it's the same vision you've had for 10 years, you might want to reevaluate. Is that really still what you're doing as an organization or as a team? Is it still getting you the direction that you want? Still helping you to grow in that position and in that team? If it's not, it's time to realign those mission, vision, values within your organization and within your team. And you also want to listen first, and you want to listen often. We spend an awful lot of time talking because we want people to listen to us. But sometimes we need to listen to them. Covey talks about it, seek first to understand and then be understood. That's when we talk about coaching and different things like that. It's important to really hear what people are saying. Don't listen to respond, listen to understand. Once you listen to understand, your response will come naturally. And then you'll know exactly what you need to do in order to move them in the better direction or to inspire them. Maybe they just don't have a clear understanding of what that vision looks like and how it's going to impact them and how it can benefit them in the long run. So we need to make sure that we focus not only in helping people envision, but enlisting their help in that process. I love working with people, and I love helping them to achieve their goals. And if we can do that collectively together as a team by understanding each other, then we're going to be much more successful. But there has to be a clear direction of not only what we're doing, but why we're doing it. Once we understand that, then I can teach you the how, because then we create a step-by-step plan to get there. But if we don't have the inner passion going on because of it, we're never going to get there. So here's your challenge for this week. So we've talked about challenge the process, and now we're talking about inspiring a shared vision. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go back and look at either your personal vision statement or your organizational vision statement and how your team or you as an individual is contributing to that. I would like you to also read about a visionary leader, and there's a lot of them out there. People have been very successful in their roles, and why they're successful. There's usually a great story behind it and the trials and tribulations that they had to go through. And then thirdly, I would like you to create a vision board, either for your personal self or for your organization or for your team. Because I want you to sit down collectively, if you're doing it with the team, is help them to envision that ennobling future. Think about the destination that you want to get, but get their input. Remember, if we have input into it, we can get buy-in into it. If you're just commanding and you're telling people what to do, we're not going to get very far. We need to ask them how they see themselves fitting into the success of this organization and what that vision looks like to them and what they're going to do to contribute, how they're going to get on board and create that passion. So you have a little bit of work to do. Next week, I want to switch it up a little bit. We're going to talk about model the way. I don't always know where to put this, but I want to talk about us and how we can set that standard with which others to follow. I say that a lot, and people look at me and they go, yeah, I know, we're the standard with which to be followed. But we have to really embody that. We have to set the standard, and we have to practice it, we have to exemplify it, and we have to walk in those shoes every single day, because that's how trust and credibility is built. So that's what our focus for the next one is going to be, is on model the way. It is the third installment, so I hope you'll join me for it, and I hope you enjoyed today. So you know what your work is to do, and get out there and do it, and share with me what you've done. And if you run into roadblocks, let me know. I can help you in the process. So once again, thanks for joining me. This is Prepare to Soar Live, and we're going to do some leadership live moments. So have a great day, and lead on.